At the cost of repetition, I'm going to reiterate something that I've been saying routinely only because I firmly believe in it. And it is extremely relevant to our guest today that systemic changes in society, mindset shifts are most effectively led by relatively young people, and they take place amongst a younger generation because naturally older people are more set in their ways, and is that much sort of difficult to really convince them to think otherwise. Also, youngsters, I think it's a safe assumption, come with a certain higher degree of awareness and exposure, and particularly when it comes to a realm such as mental health and wellness, prioritizing mental health, recognizing how inextricably connected it is with one's physical health and its broad and overall importance, there is a clear evolution and shift that's taking place. And I am happier than anybody else that it is taking place amongst the youth of our country. And to me, in my brief interaction with our guest today, she is somebody who's really quite symbolic of that change, in some ways, a microcosm that represents it, because not only is she an integral part of sort of leading that change and being part of it, but also because she's someone who was on a completely different life path and then was sort of open and awake enough to recognize perhaps a different and deeper purpose born from her own lived experience, and really dramatically shifted life tracks and embraced what she does today. We are calling today's session Activating the Unconscious. Joining us is Ashi, and she is a transformation coach, but also uses an extremely intriguing and interesting modality that I personally know nothing about. I suspect lots of us don't know much about. So we're going to also talk to her in detail about that. But first, and perhaps more importantly, from a selfish standpoint, we would love for her to share a little bit about her journey. But I'm very, very excited and grateful that she's made the time. Not only has she made the time, she's been extremely generous and open about things that have gone on and have led her to the place that she is. So thank you for that, Ashi, and welcome.
Thank you, Karthik. That was a lovely introduction. Glad to be here.
Wonderful. So, Ashi, the reason I don't usually uh, risk talking about my guest's work as part of the introduction is that I don't want to be inaccurate. And there's no better person, I really believe, to talk about one's work than the person themselves. So, if it's all right, we'd love for you to begin with sort of giving us a sense of your current work and your therapeutic practice.
Sure. So, I'm a transformation coach, as you mentioned. I'm also a certified laser coach. My work is all around making the unconscious conscious, um, which I understand is a very is not so very simple term to understand. So it's I'll simplify it. My work is all about identifying those patterns, those beliefs, those behaviors that we all know are gripping us here and there, and we want to break free from them, but we are not able to for some reason. So that's what I do, identifying those patterns, helping the person understand why they are stuck in those patterns in the first place, and what are those ways in which those patterns are serving and harming them, and then what to do about it.
Thank
So,
you for outlining that so beautifully, simply, and succinctly. We will, of course, delve into that in a lot more detail.
Mm-hmm.
while you were talking and speaking about breaking patterns, I couldn't help but remember two really sort of great rock anthems from my era. One is, of course, I Want to Break Free by the great Queen, and the other is Break On Through to the Other Side by The Doors. That happens to be one of my favorite bands. And my simple point being that I think as human beings, we have recognized and grappled with certain constructs, conditioning, and systems that we do tend to get trapped in and with. And it's essential to try to break free from them. And the fact that you are helping people do that is absolutely wonderful. You did share with me, Ashi, earlier on when we spoke that you're actually a qualified computer engineer. Now, without obviously, breaching any boundaries of information that you don't wish to share in the public domain, give us a sense of why and how you changed tracks so drastically, so dramatically, and came into this realm of work.
Um, okay, I'll try to keep it succinct. So when I was in college, due to certain situations, I started earning quite soon. Okay, I didn't wait for graduation. While being an undergrad itself, I started earning. And I taught myself data analysis and became one. I did an internship, and during that internship only, I realized that this is not something which would fulfill me if I do it for a long term, you know. And but as life has it, I was not clear. If not this, then what, you know? So somehow I stayed on that track. But soon enough, I came across branding, you know. And the curious me just wanted to explore what branding is and how it can aid to an undergrad like me. I started exploring, and soon enough, I became quite good at it, thoroughly due to my curiosity. So I left the technical realm I was in and I set up my own consultancy. And yeah, explored that. Then again, after 3.5 years of running my consultancy, I realized that again, due to some personal life changes, uh, I was pushed to a path where I had to face all that I was suppressing in me over 22, 23 years of my life. And when I started doing it, I got to know a lot about me, which I had no idea of. And it cleared a lot of blocks in me. It gave me a new sense of direction and everything. And as my career has always been, whatever I find fruitful, I just, like to share it with the world. So I started doing it through writing. And gradually, then one thing after the other, I ended up becoming a coach.
Um, so there is one aspect of this that remains unanswered simply because I haven't asked you. A lot of people change paths. A lot of people reach a certain excellence in those particular areas, but not all of them, or rather, very, very few of them, decide to then also preach it or offer it to society at large. Not every Olympian becomes a coach, not every scholar becomes a teacher. While you explored a certain way of life and an ethos of living and looking at life, and that worked for you, and that presumably healed you to a large extent, how did that get converted into a coaching practice? How, as in, why? What was the need? It had brought you a certain amount of healing and clarity that could have been great in itself.
Hmm. Good question. So in hindsight, if I look at my branding career as well, in my branding career too, I used to be a coach first. Like when people used to come to me and say that, okay, build a brand. Naturally, I used to first have a conversation with them where I am not just jumping onto the technicalities of how to build a brand, but first helping the person understand what their personality is so that it can eventually turn into a personal brand for the world. And so when I was writing about emotional well-being very consistently, a lot of people started reaching out to me,
Hmm.
just having conversations. Um, and I didn't know back then that what was just a conversation for me was helping people to a great deal. It so much so that their lives were getting transformed. Like, they were getting back, sending me messages, calling me, and telling that, hey, you remember we had a conversation last year, and these were the ripple effects of it. So somewhere, that gave an external validation that, okay, this is happening without me even trying. I just want to talk, but it is also happening. So why not, just give it a proper structure and framework, which had, which like that was a different journey altogether, giving it a structure, getting myself certified and everything. But yes, that's how the transition happened because it was already happening. It was just unconscious. When it became conscious, then I acted on it even more.
That's absolutely lovely. And I'll tell you why I asked. I asked because um and I'm it's not even necessarily always a bad thing, but enough and more times we uh, we choose certain life paths for reasons that may vary from अच्छा आजकल इसकी डिमांड है etc etc, and particularly I find when it is helping people, assisting them and supporting them in figuring out some of the larger questions and philosophical questions and existential questions that they're grappling with. It's always the an ideal situation that one has come into that realm largely and purely motivated and compelled by lived experience and then wanting to translate that. So it's really wonderful that that has been your own experience and journey. Now, it'll be very interesting for you to tell us a little bit about this fascinating modality that you use. Laser coaching, क्या होता है? Are you beaming lasers at people?
सो कन्वेंशनल कोचिंग में क्या होता है ना, जनरली टाइम स्पेंड किया जाता है फर्स्ट टू बिल्ड अ रेपो विद द पर्सन, टू मेक देम अंडरस्टैंड व्हाई कोचिंग इज बेनिफिशियल फॉर देम, यू नो। लेजर कोचिंग में वो सब नहीं करते हैं। लेजर कोचिंग बिकॉज बिगिन ही वहां से होती है दैट द अदर पर्सन इज थरली ओनिंग एंड चूजिंग टू गो डाउन दिस पाथ।
Mhm.
सो वहां पे कहीं पे भी ये टाइम वेस्ट करने की जरूरत नहीं है कि आओ रेपो बनाते हैं पहले, दैट स्पेस विच वी वांट टू क्रिएट, लेट्स जस्ट क्रिएट इट। सो कुछ भी फॉर द सेक नहीं होता है। Laser coaching may we right away talk about the things which in conventional coaching people reach after 3 to 4 sessions.
Got it.
So even in just 1 hour of laser coaching, if I am talking to a stranger who I have never spoken to before, and they have come to me that, okay, yes, coach me. So in just 1 hour, they'll go away with a lot of clarity because like laser, we are just,
Pinpointing.
finding that pinpoint, yes, and then just attacking on there. And the way we are trained to ask questions or to pick up the cues, NLP we also use and everything. That is so much so that even, for the client, it feels like a normal conversation happening, but no, it's actually coaching going on there where they think that we are here, but we are trained to take them to the
Hmm.
deeper layers and in a faster, in a more precise manner. So yeah, so that's how laser coaching is
So,
very
so just
different.
so that we understand correctly and clearly what you're saying,
Mhm.
there is mercifully no literal laser being beamed out, but on a perfectly sincere note, what's happening is that उसको इस तरह से भी हम interpret कर सकते हैं that it's a lot more focused.
Focused, and it also depends on the coach per se,
Hmm.
because coaches are also humans, right? So if I am not trained to ask people the difficult questions because I myself am afraid that I'll upset them, then I can never be a laser coach.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Hmm.
that all the discomfort which unconsciously as humans, even the coaches, try to tiptoe around because they do not want to upset the client, or oh, I do not want to, because business मिल रहा है, नहीं जाना चाहिए, I want this client to convert. All of that thing doesn't exist in laser coaching because in our training itself, we are trained in a manner where we first have outgrown from all of that discomfort. So we know how to hold that space right away for a complete stranger because we are not trying to get anything out of it. So that is how, the whole space that gets created in laser coaching is way different than conventional coaching.
I understand and appreciate that. And this has opened an extremely interesting portal because I'll tell you why. Um, so and I don't think I'm part of a minority. It took me at least five therapists before I found and became comfortable and established that rapport with now my long term therapist. And I think that there's some merit in the fact that there will be a certain generation of people, such as myself, to whom a therapeutic alliance will remain an extremely emotional and human exchange, and therefore a very significant priority will continue to be that rapport that we just spoke of. Is it fair to say, and has it been your experience, therefore, that um, amongst your own clients over the past period has been a vast majority of relatively younger people, or is it the case that it's proved to be effective more with younger clientele? ऐसा कुछ है?
No, nothing like that. More than the demographic variables here, it's about the psychological variables. Um, so first of all, in laser coaching, there is nothing like मुझे तुमको बचाना है. I want to save you. There's nothing like that because कुछ भी बचाने वाला है ही नहीं. You are not
Hmm.
drowning. you
Hmm.
know Even if a client comes to me who has been uh, going through immense suffering, you know I do not converse with the client with the mindset that, oh, they are in so much suffering, I want to save them. When the coach is you know not entangled with the offering, with the coaching they are providing, a distance gets created, a
Hmm.
separation gets created where their own influences are not affecting the conversation that is taking place. And that kind of conversation is very different, very different. So, if someone is coming to me who is even a 60-year-old lady who is going through, let's say, divorce proceedings and going through a lot of suffering, when she is open psychologically that, okay, yes, I want to receive it, the effects are similar to a 25-year-old coming to me for some career dilemma.
Hmm. Understood. I mean, intellectually, that makes perfect sense, logical sense. So, okay, ठीक है. Now, there is also, I think it's pertinent to ask this question because ऐसा होता ही है लाइफ में, whether it's in the psychological space, whether it's in a more pathological sense when we talk about issues that happen with our bodies, चोट लग गई वगैरह वगैरह, that certain kinds of treatments, certain kinds of doctors, certain kinds of streams of treatment are more effective than others, and no one size fits all, etc. We are aware of all this. With that backdrop, are you able to share with us, again, purely for information building, that in your view, laser coaching is especially effective for XYZ sorts of situations and clients. ऐसा कुछ है, just so that people can get a sense of, oh, so this might really get resolved with laser coaching, let me go.
No, nothing like that. So laser coaching, like मेरे case में at least, I never begin with coaching sessions right away.
Mm-hmm.
एक clarity session होता है,
Right.
जिसमें we speak about whatever is going on. Okay. And that clarity session itself gives a taste of what laser coaching is to the client or the prospective client. And by the end of the session, if they realize that, yes, this is something which I enjoyed and I would like to explore it further, right? Then we get into the conversation of how we can work in a long term capacity. Many times what happens is, as I told you, because it's laser coaching, it's precise. So different people have different kind of bandwidth to accommodate the truth that is being shown to them,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Now, if someone doesn't have the capacity to even accept what
Hmm.
is being told to them, then
Hmm.
right away, that is like a disqualifier. That okay, they will not be able to keep up with the pace ahead.
Hmm.
Having said that, I never tell people to evaluate or assess if laser coaching is for them or not on a theoretical basis.
Hmm.
I encourage them to have a clarity session.
Hmm. And
So,
experience it.
yes, and then decide if it is for you or not.
Fair enough. Again, makes a lot of sense. I'm also asking certain questions because it's a relatively less known modality and I want people to have as much information as possible. So also tell us, literally these few sanitation checks. For example, is this done online? Is it done offline? Is it more effective online or offline? Things like that.
Either way, it works. So most of my clients are not in Jaipur, so that's why online. But if someone is in Jaipur and they're more comfortable in in-person setup, then yes, I also offer, in-person sessions as well. But so far, in my experience, the modality, like the medium via which we are connecting, has not been a blocker per se.
Okay.
It's just that many times, even if the client is comfortable in an audio call, not a video call,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
go ahead with that as well. So there
Okay.
is
Good to know.
no, again, a thumb rule or anything
Mm-hmm.
that this should
Huh,
be
but
like
that
this.
one qualifier is very significant because the moment you dispense with the mandate of a video call, it opens up that option to a lot more people. So that's important and good to know. And similarly, Ashi, I mean, is it more similar to sort of traditional talk therapy in terms of the duration of your sessions, etc.?
Yeah, durations on average an hour, but sometimes they go on for 90 minutes or even
Okay.
more,
Okay.
depending on the layer we are uncovering.
Hmm.
But yes, on average, 1 hour is enough. And
Hmm.
many times as a coach, I have to be mindful of how much is being opened up because it depends on the capacity of the client.
Hmm.
So yeah, a lot of factors there.
Um, what because you've sort of, from what I've understood, broadly speaking, these are, or it's rather, it's a system that tends to be a little more sharply focused and move relatively quicker as compared to traditional systems. Is there also, I know this is a very vague and silly question actually, but is there an average number of sessions that typically you end up doing with a client?
Again, depends on case to case.
Hmm.
Sometimes, like one of my recent clients, she experienced such major shifts in just 4 sessions that we didn't have to continue further.
Hmm. Hmm.
In the case of other client, we have been coaching for 3 months and it's been going fine. Now for a month, she's just evaluating if she needs more sessions or not.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yes, after 3 months, we took a pause. So
Hmm.
it again depends on not just, what the coaching requires, but also how much the client can invest. And
Of
by
course.
that, I mean finances,
Yeah.
energy, attention, their priority, a lot of things. So it's not a very, again, not a thumb rule that अगर अब आप एक बार आ गए हो तो 3 महीने की ही कोचिंग लेनी पड़ेगी. It's nothing like that.
Um, Without getting into numbers or specifics,
Mhm.
would you consider your support and guidance and services on the higher end of the pay scale or modestly priced?
Again, depends on what modest and high scale means here.
Okay, diplomatic answer, but fine. Um, we are still in a country where any type of assistance and support for psychological distress is for a lot of people a luxury. And it is a luxury because of many reasons. In fact, so many times it has nothing to do with finances. They can well afford it, strictly speaking, but then there are other, societal factors at
Hmm.
play that prevent them from seeking that professional intervention. And I end up asking this question to each and every practitioner I interact with. What are some suggestions you can share broadly with people, with a vast majority of people who are never going to seek professional help, to generally maintain a reasonably healthy mental equilibrium in the world that we inhabit these days? Things that they can do which are relatively simple, inexpensive, things that they can include into their lifestyles.
Firstly, sit with yourself and decide, do you even want it to be your priority or not? Because any kind of personal commitment with healing as well, or self development, personal growth, whatever that is, even if you are doing it on your own, you cannot do it half heartedly
Hmm.
because it gets tough. It inevitably gets tough. And in that case, when your whole heart is not into it, it's easier to get into a very messy downward spiral. So, firstly, decide that yes, I'm gonna make it a priority and I'm gonna do it on my own for now. But wherever the process takes me, if and when it comes to where I need to take professional support, I'll go for it. But okay, for now, let me do it on my own.
Okay.
First, decide. Okay, let's say now you have decided. Now what? The first and foremost step is collect data. Who are you? What are your behaviors? What are your triggers? What are your strengths, weaknesses? Now, here, what comes is again the conscious and the unconscious thing. We think we know about ourselves, but we don't really. So, to bridge that gap from what we think we know and what we really are, we need to observe, we need to meta think,
Hmm.
we need
Hmm.
to think about our thoughts.
Hmm.
That let's say if I am having a conversation with my colleague, okay, and I suddenly feel irritated by something they said. So a conscious person or who is trying to be conscious, they will take that as a pointer to reflect on after the conversation ends. That okay, what really happened? Why was I triggered? And then write down, observe, gather that data at one place. This is first and foremost the biggest step to start taking care of yourself if you do not want to go for any professional help. Because within those pages, you will find a pattern emerging, and not just one pattern, multiple patterns,
Multiple patterns.
which ultimately will get connected at some place, right? And if you are persistent enough, resilient enough, you will get to know that there is nothing to be solved but just to be understood.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
those patterns will give you that clarity.
Yeah, I mean, that's remarkably well explained. Mm, I think the starting point has to be a deep and authentic exploration and building on self awareness, which will bring about that understanding, first intellectually, and then one can perhaps work towards breaking those emotional reactions and patterns. Wonderful. No wonder you're a laser coach. You're very sort of focused in your thinking. Um, Thank you so much again for making time, bringing a lot of clarity. Thank you for the work that you do. I'm also always selfishly very excited when I meet a young practitioner who's in my own city. We really need it. So, all the very best, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much, Karthik.